There's plenty to talk about, Chris. Now let's start with this High Court decision to allow Zira Duman, the ISIS bride who threatened to kill Australians, back into the country. This is the sort of decision, Chris, that makes ordinary Australians just shake their head in disbelief. But you say the High Court didn't have any choice but to grant her application to have her citizenship reinstated. Why is that?
That's right. Look, this is, I'd be the first to jump all over the High Court for getting outside its training wheels, out of course. But this is not a case like that. This is a case where the High Court is actually doing what it should do and is holding to account governments, Parliament, when Parliament exceeds its jurisdiction. What happened in this case? This is an echo of something that happened under the last government, when the last government said, OK, well, we're going to enact a law that will allow us, the government, to declare when people have forfeited their citizenship by doing things we don't like, such as going and playing footsie with terrorists in the Middle East. That sounds reasonable. It sounds reasonable when you think about it. But when you think about it, what's the difference between allowing a government to impose that sort of penalty and allowing a government to lock people up without a trial? And that's the principle that the High Court seized upon. This is an echo of a decision about a year ago when they decided that it's perfectly okay for Parliament to enact a law making it possible to effectively shun people, take away their citizenship. But it needs to be put into place by the High Court. The High Court needs to determine the facts and decide whether those facts comply with the set of facts outlined in legislation. That's the reverse of what the previous government did, where they said these are the facts outlined in the legislation and we will determine that those facts have been met. Now that can't happen. That's just a breach.
So exactly. So, but what you're saying is that for someone to have their citizenship revoked, they need to have been proven to commit some serious crime. Is that right? You can't just arbitrarily say, well, that person's bad, we better not let them back in. That's not how it works.
Yes, look, what we've got now is a gap in the law. The previous government's legislation that was targeted at these sort of people who go to the Middle East and support terrorist states. There needs to be some sort of consequence. It's just that the previous government didn't get it right. They didn't draft their legislation in a way that would pass muster. So as a result, there is no law. The current government has given an undertaking that they will eventually get around to filling this gap. And the sooner they do it, the better, because this is not the last instance where people who have gone and supported ISIS and done all sorts of things that most people would consider to be repugnant. There's a few of them, and they will continue to crop up. Now, the current government has still not acted on this, and I think the onus now falls on them. The previous government tried, their law failed. The current government needs to have another go, and the sooner the better, I would say.